What it do to? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and on today's edition, we are talking Rambo. Roll the R's. Rambo! And the big LA Rams victory over the Seattle Seahawks on Tuesday night football. Thank you, COVID. And it was a tough division matchup between two teams who know each other very well and who both needed to win. So let's get right into it, shall we? Oh, we shall. First of all, I just have to say, right out the gate, it is so good to see a real kick returner for the Rams returning the opening kickoff of games. It does my heart good to see. Brandon Powell, keep doing what you're doing, sir. I don't know why Cooper Kupp's returning punts, though. I question that move. I don't know why you just don't let Mr. Brandon Powell handle those duties. I digress. Now, right out the gate, I'm thinking early on, why don't the Rams run more screens? Why don't they try more draw plays? Let me say right here that Matt Gay has become statistically the best kicker in the NFL. Okay? So it's not even a subjective question, just statistically, the most accurate, best kicker in the NFL. So it's good to have that weapon in pocket for the Rams. And so we're up 3-0. And unfortunately for LA, that would be the extent of their scoring the rest of this half. It was that kind of game. Now, a couple of things I want to point out here. It's good to see the defense playing so much better. And Von Miller got his first sack. AD 99 is wreaking havoc. And in the first quarter, despite the Rams having drive stall, Matthew Stafford was playing pretty well. He was looking pretty sharp in the first quarter. Oh, but then the second quarter opened, and Matt from Detroit showed up again. Matt from the D, a.k.a. the pigskin poltergeist, with an awful interception thrown into double coverage. And it's just, And again, the thought keeps coming back. Screamed out into empty air. McGenius, run the ball. Why won't you run the ball? Why won't you commit to fundamental principles of ground and pound football? Because that's going to open all the rest of it up. You've got to help the offensive line by letting them fire off the line, fire off the ball, and play physical. Constantly dropping them back into pass protection, constantly going to this shotgun or these empty back formations. And I'm thinking it's a 3-0 game. There's no need to panic or rush or get hyper. It's 3-0. Just stay committed to the run for the love of all that is holy. But no, he's determined he wants to throw the ball. And periodically, it works. It looks good. There was a pass, Stafford to Kupp, where Kupp adjusted and came back, and it was almost like a lucky grab. It could have been picked, and I was like, Thankfully, Kupp is having this magnificent, historic season. But I wish that McVay would subscribe to my channel. I really wish, like he had with the golfer, that little headset in his ear. I wish I had that in McVay's ear, so every time he starts to abandon the fundamental principles of running the ball, I could say to him loudly in his ear, "Run the ball, McGenius. Run the ball." And just as I say that, he throws a long one, 40-plus yard completion to Cooper Kupp. Okay, so here we go. You take the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, but we're forging ahead. And then, as the drive is nearly about to stall again, there's a 4th and 2 and a great opportunity to make double the lead, move it to 6-zip. And McGenius opts to go for it on 4th and 2. Now, I'm seeing a lot of this in the league lately, especially the last couple of weeks, where these head coaches are like abandoning all the old school tendencies to punt on 4th down on your side of the field, or to take the field goal on 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 when you're in range, versus these guys are like, especially Staley and Harbaugh too. These guys, they're like, who cares about 3 points? 3 points, 3 points. I want to get a first down and get 7. And then sometimes they want 8. And it's like, you know what, though? If you do the math on it, the number of times you fail at it versus the number of times you're successful, you would come out better on the aggregate by just taking the damn field goal. McGenius. But these things would have gotten coaches fired not that long ago. But now it's, open season, 4th and 7 at your own 45-yard line. Go for it. Field goal range, and it's a 3-point game. Who needs to double the lead? Let's go for it. And it's costing a lot of these guys games. It costs Harbaugh. It costs Staley. But hey, they're playing what they call the analytic game. Okay, but you're losing. So you can call it whatever you want, you're losing. But again, I'm just a guy on the couch, just observing. So McVay elects to go for it, and they fail. And in that instance, it was a Kupp drop. He should have converted it. But that's the thing, see? When you keep putting yourself in these situations, the odds are it's going to bite you enough times to where it's going to cost you a game if you get too happy with it. Same thing with the pass. Can't be too pass happy. Got to have balance. Got to have balance. Eventually, after that failed 4th down, turnover on downs by McGenius, Seattle cashes it in for 3. We got a tie ball game at halftime, and when McVay is trailing or tied at halftime, it's a far less impressive record. And so nowadays, I find myself like, just be up at halftime. Let's keep the streak going. Right out the gate, Seattle started the 3rd quarter with an impressive drive on the ground. And see, that's the thing about Pete Carroll. And you can fault him because, they're not winning. But he will rely on the ground principles, even to the point when it hurts him. He didn't in the Super Bowl. But for the most part, he will. And now they're saying he's a fossil because he relies on the ground principles. But they were driving the ball still on the ground. 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, they didn't abandon it. So Seattle's opening 3rd quarter drive, primarily on the ground, is cashed in for a 10-3 Seattle lead. And now I'm worried that the boy Genius will panic, that he will take the bait, that he will now go past happy. No. On the first drive of that first possession, 9 yards right up the gut, Sony Michel. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Stay with it. But then, no, they throw long to Kupp, and that's the pass I'm talking about. Lucky completion. Could have gone the other way. Could have swung the game there with an interception. And I'm like, this is why I worry about them. The judgment, the play calling. Stick with the run, I'm thinking. Now I'm thinking, will he get enamored even more so? But no. Maybe he saw what I saw. Whew, that was a little too close for comfort. And he goes back to the run, back to Sony Michel. And that's when Sony Michel breaks it, 39 yards. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the biggest Rams run of the entire season. And that's because McVay stuck with the ground game, didn't walk away from it, didn't panic down a touchdown. It's only one score. And that run set up the sequence that led to the touchdown, Cooper Kupp. And McVay, I'm available for consultations. Anytime, just get in touch with me. I'll make a special arrangement for the boy wonder. Now, Cooper Kupp, let me just say this. And congratulations to one Cooper Kupp, who is just having, as I mentioned, a magnificent season. Now, we're only at the 14-game mark of the year, 14 games into the season, and still with 3 games left to play now due to the additional game, he has an outside chance at setting the record for most receiving yards in NFL history. So there's a slew of other records that are falling along the way as we go. And so it's really great. It's entertaining to watch it happen. Maybe we should start calling Cooper Kupp KrazyLegz, because that's one of the records that he's taken. Old KrazyLegz Hirsch from way back in the day. And, KrazyLegz, you spell it with that K, and Cooper Kupp, that K Kupp, KrazyLegz Kupp. So, KrazyLegz is doing his thing. All right. KrazyLegz 2. All right. And one thing I have noticed that I will say, and I mentioned it before, but it does seem to me that whenever Matt from Detroit starts to show up, if somebody just knocks the snot right out of him, why, he'll scram. He will beat it. And so I saw Matt from the D get waylaid. I saw him get mollywopped. I saw him get the snot knocked out of him on a couple of possessions. And I think that might have been what chased that old pigskin poltergeist right up out of SoFi. So fly. So I am of the opinion that if and when Matt from the D shows up and starts chucking those pigskin projectiles around like a poltergeist, let somebody knock the snot out of him. And it seems to calm him down and kind of get him back on track. Okay, I'm back now. We got rid of that guy. Back-to-back completions to Kupp. Cap off the drive, 17-10 Rams. And now it looks like we got control. And as fate would have it, Seahawks not going to score again this evening. So the game is really won right here. I don't know that at the time. And so I'm thinking, man, Seattle is pesky. You got to keep running the ball, McGenius. But what I was gratified to see was the defense really stepped up. BJ seemed to be MIA this game, but the threat of having him out there is a plus. And as I mentioned, these are tough division games. So, yes, the Rams were slow to start, sluggish. And I don't hold that so much against them. You still ended up with a 20-10 victory, and at the end of the day, the dub is what counts. But I still see haunting reminders of the Rams' fallacies. I see still uneasy moments where McGenius seems to stray from what would be to me a sound game plan of balanced football, physical football. And so those kinds of lapses in a playoff game against a good team on the road, et cetera, could bump you from the tournament. I'm still a little concerned about a defensive unit that doesn't seem to generate turnovers very often. They are still prone to lulls where teams can run the ball for extended periods of time on extended drives right down the throat. Seattle and the Hawks and Pete Carroll, they ran the ball even late in the fourth quarter still against the Rams. And I try to give them a pass on the penalties because you've got so many players you're shuttling in and out due to COVID. I worry about the Rams' turnover ratio, the offense and the poltergeist giving it away more often than the defense taking it in a playoff game against a quality team. So let's get to the numbers. Sony Michel, to accentuate the theme of this video, averaged over 5 yards per carry, ran the ball 18 times for 92 yards. And so I could definitely see getting him a few more touches there, especially when you're running at that kind of a clip per carry. When you have that propensity to drop back, you invite the poltergeist in. You know what they say about the poltergeist. Don't invite him in or he will come and throw things. Threw for 244 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and that one god-awful pick. He had a passer rating of 106. And here's an interesting nugget for you. When Matthew Stafford has a passer rating of 100 or better, the Rams are 9-0. So you see how, as Stafford goes, the Rams go to a large extent. KrazyLegz Kupp had 9 receptions for 136 yards, a 15.1 average, gaudy, and 2 touchdowns. But just a note about McVay, and this is why I say, in McVay I trust. I remember all those long, awful years of Scott Linehan and Jim Haslett and Steve Spagnuolo and Jeff Fisher, who I disaffectionately call the drunk. I remember all those years, wasteland of years, coaches who barely deserve to be mentioned again. And then, out of all that losing and all that mediocrity, the light shone on the golden boy genius, McVay. And since then, in 5 years, he's had 4 10-win seasons, and he's not done yet. With 3 games left to play, let's talk about what's next. At Minnesota, at Baltimore, home at the Palace in Inglewood against them damn Niners. And at 10-4, and now tied statistically with Arizona, the division again is within reach. Arizona's got to keep losing, and they very well might. But the Rams got to keep winning. Can they defeat Minnesota on Sunday? I believe so. I'm giving that a win. Can they go on the road out in the elements and defeat a struggling up and down Ravens team. And the thing with the Ravens is they have had the Rams number over the last few years. But yes, I think they can do it. I don't know if they can beat the Niners because it's just the data, the evidence is so overwhelming. That Shanahan sons McVay, he got him in his little pocket. If the Rams can take 2 of the final 3, that'll put them at 12-5. And at 12-5, they might end up very well in that wild card spot. Maybe if Arizona really continues to just Kingsbury all the way down, maybe the Rams can still win the division. So there's a lot left to be seen. Will the pigskin poltergeist continue to make his ugly appearance felt and known? Will the defense continue to shine? Will KrazyLegz set all kinds of receiving records, including the big one? Will he get the triple crown of receiving? Will he surpass Megatron? Will McVay stick to the fundamental principles of ground and pound, the setting up the pass off the run, employing principles of misdirection and deception to help Mac from Detroit stay at bay? These and all the other questions remain to be answered, but you best believe we will continue to monitor the goings-on at SoFi. And until next time, my folks, throw me one of these. And subscribe if you haven't already. Scotty says, one love.